It was calculus and math that got me into broadcasting, actually. Well, I was born in Johnson City, 1942. I grew up in Johnson City, went to high school at Science Hill, ahead of Steve Spurrier. He was just a snotty-nosed kid then. And I went to East Tennessee State. I encountered calculus in my third semester of college. I was a pre-engineering major and taking a 5-hour math course. And we had started to get into calculus, and it just totally blindsided me. I just could not comprehend it. And Dr. Tom Carson called me in his office. He was the head of the math department. He says, "Mr. Wood, I don't think you're going to be a success in this program. I suggest you change majors quickly." I had some knowledge of radio, and a fraternity brother of mine was manager of the campus radio station. He said, you got a pretty good voice, maybe you ought to audition. And so I did, and that's how I ended up in broadcasting. It was calculus that did it. I loved radio when radio was really big.
And now here's that boy with a smile and a song, the star of the show, Curly Kid. Thank you, Bill Lane, and howdy, folks, and welcome to the Thrift Show. To get us rolling on our way this afternoon, we have a final...
These people were these godlike personalities.
A Richmond, Virginia bulletin. A Richmond judge struck down Virginia's movie censorship law today as an invalid previous restraint of freedom of expression. Shall I go on?
Started in radio, I think, in about 63. I started at WOPI. It was the oldest station in the market. It went on the air in 1929.
Says Bristol, Virginia, Tennessee, a good place to live. And believe me, I think every one of us here in Bristol do feel that on this 4th of July, the birthday of independence.
Went to work for WCYB in 65 or 66. I got some great advice from the late Bob Porterfield, and it was not advice to me. He and Walter Crockett, our news director, had Mr. Porterfield to come down and speak to Art and Merrill and Evelyn Boer, one of the early women anchors. That was just unheard of back then. Talk to them about being on television and being in front of people is basically what he was doing. Well, I was the kid over at radio. I was still working radio, but I would come over and record station breaks. Radio was across the street in the top floor of the hotel building there, which is now a hotel again. And we had a big reel-to-reel machine, and I would go to the log, and I would read voiceovers and hundreds of Channel 5, Bristol, Kingsport, Johnson City. And he was there speaking to them, and he says, there was already a Walter Cronkite and a David Brinkley and Chet Huntley. You're not going to be any of those people. Just be yourself. So I took that advice, and I decided, well, I'll just be Johnny Wood. And I was Johnny Wood for 44 years there.
Clouds to the west of us. A lot of heavy storm activity. 7-week-long strike going on in Virginia against the Pittston Coal Group. And Tennessee High finally got to play Sullivan East, and Tennessee High won that game 3-1 in the Tennessee District 1 AAA tournament last night.